Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of people ranking the films in their favorite horror franchises, so I thought I would do just that for one of my favorite franchises in general, which is the Friday the 13th franchise. I'll be going from worst to best, and without further ado, let's get started. My least favorite of the series is Jason X. I find it unbelievable that someone conceived of this idea, but they actually went ahead and tried to make a serious film out of it. The premise alone is just complete stupidity and feels more like a parody than an actual Friday the 13th movie. But aside from that, the film is very poorly executed and makes little use of its what I assume is a higher budget. I couldn't even finish watching it, that's how bad it was, and I didn't even get to the infamous Uber Jason part, and I think it's best that I leave it that way. Overall, Jason X is a terrible movie, my least favorite of the franchise, without a doubt. Next is Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. I had low expectations for this one, so I wasn't particularly disappointed when I saw it. But still, it is a really bad movie. It doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie at all, given Jason is only around for about 10 minutes, and then the rest of the movie is just him possessing other people. I understand they wanted to do something different, but it's better to simply retire the series rather than go ahead and make something that's, well, stupid. The direction, editing, and acting is absolutely pitiful too. I will admit, I did really love the ending when Freddy Krueger's glove grabs Jason's mask from the ground, but besides that one memorable scene, this is a really dull movie, and I really don't recommend it. My next choice is Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I don't think this film is absolutely terrible like the last two I talked about, but I still don't think it's good. Aside from a very misleading title, given that most of the movie is set on a boat, the film is filled with really irritating and unlikable characters, and you simply just want to see them get killed sooner, not for the fun element of these movies, but just so it'll be over sooner. Jason Takes Manhattan is kinda like one of those movies where you watch it just to pass time. I mean, you sit there, but if something more productive comes up, you stop watching it and you won't even think twice about it. I also think it's far too long for a Friday the 13th movie. It's not a long movie, but these movies are meant to be short. This one just felt really drawn out. Not recommended, but it could be worse. Now we're up to Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Notice that my least favourites are the Kane Hodder films. Sure, he may have been the only man to play Jason over several films, but consistency doesn't mean quality. I just think Kane Hodder is a really overrated Jason. I do think that Jason is pretty cool in this one, but the film has no enjoyable human characters apart from maybe the psychic girl who feels completely out of place anyway. There's nothing I really have to say about this one. It's a standard Friday the 13th sequel. Jason shows up, he kills, and that's it. This one, I think, is just okay. My next choice is the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. When I first saw this, I thought that it was a great horror remake, but on repeated watches, it doesn't hold up quite so well, but I do still find it enjoyable. I think Derek Mears played a great Jason, for one thing, and I like the overall redesign that they had for the series, and by that I mean the character of Jason, what Camp Crystal Lake looks like, etc, etc. Unfortunately, it doesn't really maintain that old Friday the 13th spirit and often takes itself too seriously by throwing in drama that just falls flat. It has some pretty cool kill scenes, and it had an awesome opening. I also like how it mixed in elements from several installments, rather than just flat out remaking the first movie alone, which I think would have just alienated modern audiences. I would have liked to have seen a sequel to this film, but it seems unlikely that they're going to do one now. This isn't a perfect movie, but I do think it is pretty underrated. This one is a guilty pleasure of mine, and it's Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. I know fans didn't respond well to this one, considering that the killer is not Jason, but simply an imposter, but I really didn't care. It maintains the spirit that made the earlier ones so great, and is, in my opinion, the last Friday to be filmed in that way. It has more stupid moments than some of the others, but honestly, a lot of them are just funny. I do find the hillbilly characters to be irritating as hell, but the kills make up for it, and there are some cool characters here and there, notably Tommy Jarvis, who is one of the only reoccurring characters of the series. Not a perfect movie, but I do find it to be very underrated, much like the remake. Next up is Freddy vs. Jason. This is more of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but Jason is still there, so it counts. It doesn't work well as a horror film, given that it isn't remotely scary, but I like to think of it as a great fan service. The novelty is all about seeing Jason and Freddy together in one movie, and eventually facing off in a final bloody battle, which is just absolutely awesome. It has some great kills. Ken Kazinga did a great job as Jason, and I really like the human characters in it too, despite their poor character development. It's not a great horror film, but it's definitely a great action movie, and I think that Freddy vs. Jason is underrated by many people. Now I'm up to Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. This one is a fan favorite. It has one of the best setups of the entire franchise. You got Zombie Jason in his first appearance, the return of Tommy Jarvis, and that's his last appearance by the way, plenty of awesome kills, and an awesome Alice Cooper soundtrack. I think Jason Lives does drag on a little bit by the end, but until then, this one holds my attention without a problem, and I can watch it again and again because it's just such an entertaining movie. Despite it being the first to shift away from that old style of Friday the 13th films, it does very well on its own. Unfortunately, after this horror classic, the series really did just spiral downhill. We're down to my top 4 now. Next up is Friday the 13th Part 3. I love this movie. The 3D scenes are a bit of a flaw considering that the shots that are used in it just look really awkward, but besides that, I love the characters, notably the prankster Shelley. The movie has really awesome kills, some of which include Jason crushing a head with his bare hands and shooting a girl in the eye with a spear gun. It's also great to see Jason don his famous hockey mask in this one for the first time. Friday the 13th Part 3 has its fair few plot holes, but they don't really hurt the experience of watching it because, after all, this is Friday the 13th, not the realm of intelligent writing. It's just a really fun horror movie for a lot of reasons. I think on anyone's list this next one deserves a high spot, and it is, of course, the original. The film that started it all. While I don't think this film is quite as good as the next few I'm going to talk about, I have to give it credit for many things. The suspense was never as good as this in the rest of the series, and the story twists were never as well thought out from here onwards. The ending scene of Jason Voorhees as a child jumping out of the water and pulling Alice into the lake is still shocking to this day. Betsy Palmer delivers a great performance as Mrs. Voorhees, and I also think that the camp counselors do a swell job in their roles too, notably Kevin Bacon, who has a really great death scene. The movie does have some pretty bad lighting issues, but the atmosphere of it and the overall fun factor is just too good. My second favourite of the franchise is Friday the 13th Part 2. In many ways, this is just a direct copy of the original, but with a few things changed, and in my opinion, it is mostly for the better. While it never was as suspenseful, the technical factors have been improved, there's a higher body count, Jason finally makes his appearance as the killer, the film features who I consider to be one of the best final girls, and the kills are just as good as in the original. I don't really know what you could do to make this a more ideal Friday the 13th movie. Pretty much everything there is to love about these movies is present here, so I think for that reason, I would find it pretty unbelievable if someone didn't classify Part 2 as one of their favourite Friday the 13th movies. Finally, my favorite Friday the 13th movie is Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. While it wasn't the last in the series as the title would lead you to believe, Part 4 was certainly the last truly fantastic Friday movie, in my opinion, and I do think they made the best one here. Tommy Jarvis and his family are great characters, acting as the ultimate opposition to Jason Voorhees, who is played by Ted White, who I credit as the best person to play Jason Voorhees. The other victims are all likable in their own ways, notably Crispin Glover, who delivers an absolutely ridiculous but really funny dance. There are a lot of imaginative kills. The suspense is pretty strong, but not quite as good as 1 and 2. There's more nudity here than in any other installment, and the ending is absolutely fantastic and would have been the perfect ending to this series had they stopped here. Overall, I just think Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, is a fantastic horror film, and it will probably always remain one of my favorites of this series, if not my most favorite. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.